My next one was the GPU stuff, man.
Really? Oh,
GPU
okay,
news.
sure.
We can jump into something else.
You haven't talked about GPUs enough this week?
What's in these notes here? The 5090 reviews are out. I watched a bunch of them. Super interesting. Just like I expected, a lot of people took different angles with it, tested different things. This is a generation that I'm going to say again, go watch other people's reviews, go read other people's reviews, go do whatever, right? It's very interesting. The whole story is not out there, even with all the reviews that are out there, in my opinion. I think this is going to evolve and show its head more over time as these different technologies are used more, as we're able to see it in more scenarios, stuff like that. I also think as the continuation of card embargoes come, we'll learn more and more. But yeah, it's super interesting. Reviewing GPUs is changing significantly because of all these AI software features and everything else. But anyways, AMD RX 9070 is delayed. It is apparently launching March 2nd. The company cites software optimization for FSR4 as the two reasons. Good old brain. The company cites software optimization and FSR4 as the two reasons why it most likely decided to delay the launch of RDNA 4.
Did you see some of the ad campaigns that went live? Like in like non-North American regions that were like, yo, Radio 9070, let's go.
That's rough.
Yeah, I mean, honestly though, this is one of those things where it would be really easy for us to dogpile on them and go like, oh, AMD software not ready, AMD this, AMD that, but like, good. Let them cook.
Yeah.
Like, some of the leaks that I've seen seem to indicate that this is going to be a really valid card. Like, it might not appease every possible buyer at every price tier, but it looks like it will be, hopefully, a really valid option. And if that's the case, then let them cook.
Yeah.
Get it done.
Yeah.
And then when it's done, let's have a look at it, and hopefully it's awesome. And
I support the delay for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, here's the thing. Like, I'm rooting for everybody in the GPU space. I'm rooting for Intel, obviously, who's been bringing it at the low end. I'm rooting for AMD, who has been the only force, even remotely sort of keeping NVIDIA honest. And I'm rooting for NVIDIA too, because I want better GPUs, and you need that competition. I don't want anyone to be in a completely dominant position, because that's bad for the whole industry and it's bad for the consumer. So this is exciting.
I will also say, in support of them delaying, what I heard from the team all week was that the driver in the card, everything felt very stable. So it wasn't a problem, which I appreciate that. AMD's vice president and general manager of the Ryzen CPU and Radeon graphics division explains more in this tweet. This one. I really appreciate the excitement for RDNA 4. We're focused on ensuring we deliver a great set of products with the Radeon 9000 series. We're taking a little extra time to optimize the software stack for maximum performance and enable more FSR4 titles. We also have a wide range of partners launching Radeon 9000 series cards, and while some have started building initial inventory at retailers, you should expect many more partner cards available at launch. And then there's some indication that late January was the initial plan for the RX 9000 series launch. It's possible that AMD might also have wanted to see how NVIDIA's RTX 5070 Ti will fare when it hits the market in February. Now back to NVIDIA. NVIDIA removed the hotspot sensor for the 5090s. Video cards reported on this, and Der Bauer spoke about the issue in a recent video and reached out to NVIDIA for comment. NVIDIA first told him that the new RTX 5000 series GPUs now report memory temperatures instead, but this was already possible with earlier cards, including the RTX 4090 and RTX 3090.
Yeah, I thought that basically happened once we got temp probes in the memory chips.
I think so as well.
Okay.
After further probing, they reportedly told him that API changes mean that the hotspot temperature is no longer accurate or relevant for gamers, but didn't go into further detail. This
is something I really don't like. I mean, it's one thing if they want to put a disclaimer on it or something like that, but clearly NVIDIA saw fit to put that sensor in the chip at some point. And as someone who has personally relied on hotspot to diagnose issues in the past, I really don't like this. I shouldn't say all. I mean, technically, the 8800 GTX had an IHS on it, but functionally speaking, all GPUs are bare die chips, and if you have even the slightest mounting error, they can not only run a little hot or not perform properly or whatever, but they can cook themselves. And like if there's an area where there's like an air gap, which will act as an insulator, and so when you have the hotspot temp, it tends to be, from my experience, a little bit more sensitive to a slight mismount, and it can make it. And if you see a huge disparity between the die temp and the hotspot temp, it can indicate a mounting issue. So you can kind of quickly get the card pulled off, get the cooler remounted, and then get back to it.
I don't have a lot of experience because I was out of the testing game for all the generations that had hotspot sensors.
Yeah.
But they seemed cool. I don't know what this comment is necessarily about, but I'm going to just go for it. Sure. First, the 5090 die size itself is huge. So so the temperature you'll see reported by tools such as GPU-Z will be an average across the die, meaning the temperature recorded won't be the same across the entire surface. It's just the average. Moving on, Nvidia shows off a weird prototype, Titan design, which some people have been calling a 5090 Ti, with PCB on the that.
No, 5090 Ti. I thought this was rumored to be more of like
I think there's a different rumor about a 5090 Ti that I saw.
Yeah, no, this was a 40 series / Titan prototype. Okay, so
yeah, this is not what I thought.
I think we talked about this on WAN Show, but I just want to say, this is pretty cool. This leaked like ages ago and was the first indication that we saw that, at least to my knowledge, it was the first indication. It's one of the first indications that we saw that Nvidia was considering an unconventional PCB design for an upcoming card. And this was rumored to be like a 4090 Ti or like a 40 series Titan card of some sort. And there we go. So it put a vertical PCB in it so that it could make much, much more effective use of the shape of the GPU to blow air up this way. Okay, so they're blowing air up this way. I mean, the idea is pretty simple, right? If you've got a flat thing and you're blowing air against it, you are effectively working against your own cooling fans. And you can do things like you can angle what you're blowing against so it kind of goes this way, and you can lift the heatsink stack off of the PCB so it can kind of make its way out and through and around. But at the end of the day, you're blowing air into a flat surface, which is going to significantly harm your ability to cool your fin stack. So this seemed like a really cool way to tackle that by, here you go, putting the card on a little like daughter PCB, and then you can see here the frame for where the cooler is, just kind of blowing through it like that, and then using some combination of like heat pipes or vapor chambers to move all the heat out into the fin stack. When this first leaked, it was like, whoa, that would be super, super cool, I guess, but like, good Lord, our GPU is really going to go to 4 slots thick?
Yeah.
And it seems like Nvidia did the same introspection.
Yeah,
and was
the
like,
other way, kind of.
Could there I mean, if we're going to do this daughter board thing anyway, could there possibly be another way? And
floating in the middle was a wild move. And very cool.
The answer is yes, and I think it's so cool. I don't know why the 5090 surprised me so much, because if you go back to some of their older designs, especially their dual GPU designs, like, do you remember the 7950 GX2? I mean,
yeah.
This thing was flipping wild. Look at this thing. Here we go. Let's pull up some images. Look at this thing. This thing's cray-cray. So it's got the main PCB here that plugs into your PCIe slot. And then it's got a built-in SLI bridge, which, if I recall correctly, is like back here somewhere. And then it's got a second 7000 series GPU on here. And then you can it has an SLI finger still, so you can run quad SLI with 2 of these. Or
I didn't know that.
At least you could have.
That's crazy.
Could have back in the day.
That.
Yeah, that thing was freaking wild. Okay.
I knew it was two sandwiched. I didn't realize you could. I mean, it makes sense, but I didn't realize you could just buy two of those and have four.
Okay, Dalxy here brings up a really interesting conversation that I'd love to pivot to if we kind of think we're done talking about the cool.
Yeah,
cooler.
yeah. Anyway, essentially the conclusion is this generation is wild. Go watch everybody's video if you have time.
Yeah, cool. So Dalxy asks, at Luke at Linus, can we bring back SLI for the 5090? Lol. Okay, here is a wild take that I'm sure is going to get clipped out of context and get me canceled.
Not again.
The 5090, for NVIDIA's most affluent gaming customers, the 5090 is a great value.
Oh, no.
Here, wait for it. Think of the 5090. I mean, there's no process node shrink, right? So you could kind of think of it as 4090
Ti,
more like kind of
4090 Ti plus.
an extension of the previous generation with some extra stuff bolted onto it. And if you think about it that way, well, for the people that are like, yo, bring back SLI, what are you better off with? A second 4090 or a 5090? If all you're going to get is about 30% more performance, wouldn't you rather have it for another 400?
Bad take.
Wouldn't you rather have it for another $400 compared to another $1,600?
All right, I don't even think I need to misquote you to get you canceled for that. I think
I'm leaving. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, have a good one, Dan.
Bye.
I'll give you a reference.
Anyway, but kind of back to serious.
Yeah.
You're associated.
For the people out there that were buying, two 3090 Ti's, which was the last card that supported SLI, or going even further back for the people that were buying, two 2080 Ti's or, two Titan Blacks or whatever in SLI. Honestly, I think I would rather have a slightly bigger monolithic GPU that consistently gets me better performance than one that will occasionally nearly double my performance, but more often than not run at the same performance for double the power consumption and microstutter all over the place. I guess what I'm trying to say is, no, SLI isn't coming back, and that's probably an okay or even good thing.
Put more transistors on this chip.
But with that said, it's not that NVIDIA has completely abandoned high-speed interconnects between their GPUs. Like, if anything, NV72, like their data center stuff, is doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on what they started with SLI. It's just that now, in order to build that high-speed connectivity into the GPU, in order to have it operate fast enough that those GPUs can act as one, it takes up so much die area and is so, therefore, expensive that it makes no sense to build it into every single consumer card, knowing that only a tiny fraction of the people who Luke just mocked for being willing to spend that much more for a slight performance gain.
Well, no, it does depend. I think it was said well in our video, right? If you're using money to make this thing, then sure.
No. I was talking about the SLI argument.
Yes.
Like the same people who would go and spend double for that. I'd much rather they go and spend a little bit more for 5090. 100%. 100%. So for those small handful of people that are wild enough to go and do that, yeah, I'd rather they have a 5090.
This is probably what they're buying anyways.
And for everyone else, yeah, honestly, I think I would rather NVIDIA doesn't just make the thing more expensive. And it sucks, right? But the reason SLI worked was because with the old interconnects and the old bridges, they weren't that high speed. The cost wasn't that high. But as resolutions of our monitors went up, as the amount of data flowing between the GPUs increased astonishingly, it just couldn't keep up. It just couldn't do it without the cost not making any sense anymore. So that's my conclusion. No, SLI is gone, and the 5090, for those folks that would have bought SLI, I stand by this. Way better value.
AJ, not RJJ, but Flowplane, anyways, said instead of SLI, I would rather see the ability to split a single card across multiple users, either in VM environment or multi-user game PC.
Me too.
Wasn't there that thing?
No, it's totally a thing. GPU virtualization is 100% a thing.
What's the name of... there's a particular piece of software.
Oh, I know the one, the something hot seat, something. I can't remember. There's a piece of software that allows you to do it. We haven't really played around with it too much.
Yeah.
There's a...
People are saying
someone had it at
that's
Whaleland
I'm
at
referencing,
LTX. Yeah. No, it's a thing. I don't want to give away too much, but we might have a new multi-gamers like kind of thing coming. And maybe as part of exploring that again and kind of seeing what the state of things is, we could explore that as well.
I think that'd be cool.
But yes, there is some really cool slicing stuff, even though Nvidia doesn't officially support it on their consumer cards. That was something that I actually chased Intel about a lot back in the lead up to the release of Arc Alchemist, the original Arc DGPUs. Was like, hey, if you guys made this available to consumers, I'd really appreciate that. Not because I necessarily think, the A770 is going to be powerful enough that anyone would really want to split it to two gamers running off of the same GPU, but because I would love to see some pressure on the incumbents to just make this feature freaking accessible, because there is so much that consumers can do with CPU virtualization. And I would love to see the same kind of innovative use cases be possible with GPU virtualization, especially now that they can do so much other than just, push FPS in Counter-Strike or whatever.
Yeah.
So, in conclusion, Dan, 100% it's a thing. And no, NVIDIA has absolutely no intention, as far as I can tell, of
probably not
making it accessible on their consumer-facing cards.
A bunch of people have said different names of software solutions in Philplane Chat. I don't remember which one, and I don't know anything about it, really. I just remember it was in that video of
Astro
the LAN at
Multi-Seat.
LTX.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Oh, Tim in chat says, I was the guy at the LAN. It's Astro Multi-Seat.
Okay,
there we
go. Yeah. So I was remembering him and his computer.
Did he die?
Oh, my goodness.
F.
Yeah, everyone, now, let's go. Pay respects. Dan kicks it off. Love it.